So what are the key challenges that new providers are facing during the inspections?
I think new providers who haven't had an inspection before are always surprised by how thorough Ofsted are and by how much inspectors find out in a short space of time. I think the best piece of evidence I can give to anybody is to be prepared beforehand and be able to produce the right evidence quickly so that you can show that all apprentices are making good progress. I think that's the key challenge for new providers.
And based on your evidence, are you able to give examples of good, bad practice within new providers?
Yes. In the best provision, leaders and managers ensure that employers understand and fully meet the requirements of apprenticeship standards for on and off the job training. All apprentices receive at least their full entitlement of work time devoted to good quality off the job learning. Staff track and record learning systematically so that they can make sure all apprentices are making good progress, gaining new knowledge and learning new skills. In the best provision, apprentices benefit from a well-planned programme of practice endpoint tests that prepare them well for their final assessments. And staff give apprentices detailed and constructive feedback on their performance in these practice tests so they know how to improve. In the best provision, apprentices are being stretched and challenged, so many are working at distinction level. In the best provision, leaders and managers know the strengths and areas for improvement of their provision well, and they act quickly to resolve issues. They assess the quality of their training accurately and develop highly effective strategies to improve training. In the best provision, apprentices become independent learners and are able to evaluate the quality of their own work. Apprentices are well matched to their course and employer. They develop their English, maths and digital skills very effectively, regardless of their previous achievements and levels of ability. In the best provision, apprentices receive detailed and impartial careers information, advice and guidance, and they fully understand the options available to them at the end of their apprenticeship. A particularly good example of this was highlighted in the recent White Hat monitoring visit report, where Ofsted reported that staff organise industry days with prestigious companies to help apprentices understand career opportunities and widen their horizons. In the best provision, safeguarding has a high priority with employers, apprentices and staff, and all those groups know what to do if they have any concerns. Leaders and managers carry out detailed checks to make sure that employers' premises are safe, and they check thoroughly apprentices' safety and well-being when they visit them in their workplaces. All staff receive frequent training in safeguarding and the prevent duty, and staff know how to identify concerns and how to make a safeguarding referral. Designated safeguarding staff are well trained and knowledgeable, and they use good relationships with specialist agencies to effectively support vulnerable apprentices. In the weaker provision, apprenticeships are still too much like the old train to gain model, with apprentices not learning or developing new knowledge, skills and behaviour. In the weaker provision, staff still see themselves as assessors and have not had the CPD or support to help them plan and facilitate learning, which they need to do for the new standards. Sometimes there aren't enough provider staff, so apprentices have insufficient contact with provider staff and make slow progress. In the weaker provision, apprentices aren't set challenging targets or enough work to help them progress. And when they do submit work, they do not receive developmental feedback to help them improve further. In the weaker practice, initial assessment is slow and ineffective and does not identify apprentices' starting points or support needs. Learning and assessment are not individualised, and they don't ensure all apprentices make good progress from their starting points. Too often, employees recruited as apprentices are not suitable for the programme. In the weaker provision, leaders and managers do not have an accurate view of the quality of the provision. They're usually over-optimistic about how good it is, and they fail to recognise the weaknesses in apprentices' experiences. Governance is often poor, with leaders and managers not being held to account for teaching, learning and assessment and apprentices' progress. Safeguarding policies and procedures either do not exist or are not effectively understood or implemented. Staff and apprentices may not have had relevant training and are not confident discussing issues such as prevent, nor do they see their relevance in the apprentices' workplace or community.